Alright, good morning grade 10. Happy Monday to you. We're now going to do this program here, number 4, on page 82 of your textbooks. And it's about a qualifying time for a triathlon. So people enter into a triathlon for swimming, cycling and running. They're going to do those 3 sports and get a qualifying time, and then we're going to compare it with a qualifying time to see if they get provincial colours. Now, we're going to assume that the user enters valid values for the times, so we don't have to check them. We're also going to make sure that we don't have to make sure that all 4 values have been entered. So it says that assume that, so you don't have to do any error checking over here for the input. Now we're going to calculate and display the total time it took to complete the triathlon, and then display whether they had provincial colours, half colours, a scroll, or just participation. So if you're under the qualifying time, then you get provincial colours. Within 5 minutes, so qualifying time plus 5, if you have less than that amount of qualifying time plus 5, then you get half colours, and if you are less than the qualifying time plus 10, then you get a scroll. And if you are more than 10 minutes or more than the qualifying time, then you just get a participation certificate. So to try and explain how we're going to deal with this is an example. Let's say the qualifying time is 20 minutes. So if you add 5, you get 25, and you add 10, you get 30. So if the sum is 19.9, anything less than 20 minutes will be provincial colours. If your sum is 23, so you're over 20 but you're less than 25, then you get provincial half colours. The same as if the sum is 24.9, which is just less than 25, the qualifying time plus 5, then you'll get those provincial half colours. If you get 25 on the dot, then you are within the range to get provincial scroll because you are under 30. So it's it's quite tricky within 5 minutes. So anything less than 5 minutes plus the qualifying time. Well, let's have a look. The provincial score. Anything less than the qualifying time plus 10. So if we add 10 to the qualifying time, we get 30. And if you have 25, now that's the tricky part here. 25 is the qualifying time plus 5, but remember provincial half colours is anything underneath that 25. So this was the trick of the question. So we have to look out for these little tricks sometimes. They're little difficult parts, and this is a good example of a difficult question actually, because it was worded that it had to be within 5 minutes, within 10 minutes. So anything 25 plus the qualifying time plus 5, basically in this case, this example comes to 25 here for the person who did the 3 sports. They will get provincial scroll because it's underneath the qualifying time plus 10. And then the same with this one, sum equal 29.9 is just underneath that qualifying time plus 10, so you get provincial scroll. If they get 30, which is exactly that amount, the instruction said 10 minutes or more than the qualifying time. So if you add 10 to qualifying time, you get 30, and if you've got 30, you only get a participation certificate. And of course anything over this, in this scenario, anything over 30 will be participation certificate. Now we have to put this in code with a whole lot of if statements, and we have to use if, then and else. So the easiest one is if the qualifying time is less than 20, else, then we're going to go and we'll write the code starting from the lowest and see what happens. So here we have some code that I've already written. This is the interface. Qualifying time is 4 edit boxes. They're going to be real numbers. Everything happens in the calculate on click event. The retry is just to clear that and close, so we know we're dealing with local variables here. So there's a whole lot of local variables: our qualify, our swim, our run, our cycle, and then the sum is to is going to be used to add up the 3 times. So we get the qualifying time from the edit box. Remember, we have to go string to float for each one of these. The swim time, string to float, edt swim time.text. The run time, string to float, edt run time.text, and the cycle, string to float, and then the edit box contents in brackets there. So here's the sum. Our sum equals our swim plus our run plus our cycle. We add the 3 up, and then we're going to go and compare our sum with our qualifier. If our sum is less than our qualifier, that will be our first one. So we're going to then go and display. I also want to display here your total is, and then join that to a string to float. So we can go and display the total as well. And a space there. Join that to string to float our sum. I'm just going to do a simple string to float, no formatting here, and then we'll join that to our message saying provincial colors. It's just a simple little thing there so we can actually see the sum each time. Now remember, we're doing if then and else, nested if, a whole lot of if then and else statements, and the reason is because we can only have one display. They're not going to, no numbers are going to be both less. We can only have one result here. Okay, you can't be under the qualifying time and within 5 minutes of the qualifying time or any of the others. You can only have one outcome here. So here we're going to put another else if the sum is less than the qualifying time plus 5, then we're going to display in LBL. Oh yeah, the display is in LBL output.caption. We found that out by looking at the structure section here, and you can see there's a label called LBL output. It's always tricky to find these labels, so you just need to look here in your structure list at the left hand side to find your output component. So there we go. Else, okay, we're on this one. If we're on we're looking at the qualifying time less than, the sum less than the qualifying time plus 5. So we add 5 to the qualifying time and see if the sum is less than that. In other words, if it's 23 or 24, you can have provincial half colors. Provincial half colors. So you see what I did there? I said if the sum is less than the qualifying time plus 5. But this else is very important because it's only going to choose one of these things. Then you have to have another else. If, and remember, I told you before that there's no semicolon before else. Can you see no semicolon before else? Now we want to do this. We've done within 5. What about within 10 minutes? So I'm going to say if our sum is less than qualifying plus 10. Then we're going to display the total and what the result is. Half provincial scroll. So it's a provincial scroll if they get less than the qualifying time plus 10. Else if. Now let's go and see what are we going to do with the next one. If it's greater than, no, if it's equal, greater than, let's see, have a look at our spreadsheet. So if it's greater than or equal to the qualifying time plus 10, Now does that make sense? If it's greater than or equal to the qualifying time plus 10, then they will just get a participation certificate. Participation certificate. Take note, I use copy and paste here to make it quicker and easier. You make sure you do that in tests and exams. Now I've got a semicolon there. Why? Because there's no other option. We've covered all 4 options. The trick here is to use if, then, and else, because we can only have one outcome here. So the process has to go through each one and check, is the sum less than the qualifying time? If it is, there we go. Else, is the sum less than the qualifying time plus 5? And take note, I use less than, not an equal sign. Else, if the sum is less than the qualifying time plus 10. Else, if the sum is greater than or equal to the qualifying time plus 10. Yeah. Let's go and put some numbers in and see how this works. Is this last one correct? Well, it does stand to reason if we look here. If the sum is less than or equal to, less than the qualifying time plus 5, if it's less than qualifying time plus 10, but if it's less than or equal to the qualifying time plus 10, that's this one, then we will have provincial scroll. If it's greater than or equal to qualifying time plus 10, then we'll have the blue, this participation certificate. So if it's less than the qualifying time, we get provincial colours. If it's less than the qualifying time plus 5, as by this example here, you get provincial half colours. If it's less than the qualifying time plus 10, there's qualifying time plus 10, then we get provincial scroll. If it's greater than the qualifying time plus 10, then you get participation certificate. Now that makes sense. I hope it does make sense to you. Let's run the program and see how it works. I'm going to put some numbers in. We'll use the numbers that we have in the spreadsheet here. I'll just make it up. Oops. What was it saying? String to float to string. Float to string. If I can make a mistake, you can make a mistake. So just be aware of all these things. We get distracted and then we make mistakes. Very simple little mistakes, but they are nonetheless. Right, float to string. Distractions, yeah. Right, another one. Else. What does it say? Not applicable to this operand type. If then, output your total is. Caption, float to string. Let's have a look. I've got 2 plus signs here at the end, that's why. You can't have a plus and a plus, you know. I've got it over here and I've got it over there. There we go. So you can't have 2 plus signs next to each other like such, okay? You've got to have 1 in between each string that you're joining together. So you learned from that mistake as well, eh? Now I'm going to make my qualifying time 20 and I'm going to put in some numbers here so that we can get the numbers that we put on our sheet. 19.9, well, anything less than 20. 5, 2, 7, 12, calculate, what, 5 to 12, that's 14, 15, 19. Come on, why is it not doing it? If it's less than, or sum plus R1 plus R cycle, if it's less than the qualifying, R qualify, oh, we've got all that. I'm telling you, my computer's playing up again. 20. 10, 4, 5. Oh, I didn't go and put in the wrong code, did I? No, I didn't. Some reasons of displaying. Let's have a look at the label and see if it is visible. Visible, it is visible. Enabled, yep. Label. Font. Size 12. Colors fine. Transparent. Visible, true. Yeah, the label wasn't visible. Can you believe it? The label wasn't visible. Right. 20, 10, 4, 5. Calculate. There we go. Provincial colors. That's correct. Now, what if we had 15 provincial half colors? 24. Okay, so let's add another 5 there and make it 30 participation. So, well, let's make this 20. That's 29 is provincial scroll. Is that correct? Let's have a look at our spreadsheet. Provincial scroll, yep. Let's make a number 25. We should get provincial scroll. And 4. Yep, provincial scroll still. And what if it's less than 25? Let's make this 3. Provincial half colors, yeah. And if it's 34, then you get, yeah, everything works fine, just those couple of little hiccups. So now you know that you must make sure your labels and everything are showing. Okay, go try this by yourself.